You ever hear a voice calling your name when no one's around? What if that voice sounded exactly like you? It happened to a guy named Josh, 27, who recently moved into a remote rental cabin deep in the Appalachian Mountains. He was a travel blogger, chasing peace and quiet for content. No neighbors, no cell signal, and nothing but trees for miles. It was supposed to be the perfect getaway until the forest started speaking. On the third night, around 2:30 a.m., Josh was editing photos by the fireplace when he heard it. From outside, in the darkness beyond the window, came a voice. Josh, come here. It wasn't just a voice. It was his voice. Identical. Same tone, same pitch. Like someone had recorded him and played it back. Distorted. Slowed down, and it was coming from the tree line. He froze. Maybe it was an echo, he told himself. Or maybe he was tired, but curiosity got the better of him. He opened the door and stepped onto the porch. The woods were silent. Too silent. No crickets, no wind. Just still, heavy air. Then again, Josh, come here. This time, closer, and it was laughing his laugh, but stretched, hollow, wrong. He slammed the door shut. The next day, he hiked down the mountain into the nearest town 20 miles, out to ask if anyone had heard of this before. The old man at the gas station just stared at him and said, "You heard the echo skin. It finds your voice. And where's it?" Josh asked what that meant, but the man refused to say more. Just handed him a worn leather pouch full of ash and told him to burn it at the tree line if the voice came back. But don't speak to it. Not even once. Josh returned to the cabin. That night, it started again. Not outside. From behind the bathroom door. Josh, Why did you leave? He didn't answer. He clutched the pouch and backed away. The door creaked open on its own, but the bathroom was empty. Then he saw the mirror. His reflection was standing still. But he was moving, breathing heavily. And the reflection smiled. Slowly. Then it whispered, "You already spoke, remember?" Josh ran outside, nearly slipping on the icy steps. He took out the ash pouch and flung it into the trees. A hiss echoed through the woods like steam escaping a dying engine. The voice screamed not just once, but in layers. Dozens of his own voices, overlapping, mocking, crying, laughing. He doesn't stay in remote places anymore. He never records his own voice. And he hasn't looked into a mirror since. But sometimes, when he's alone at night, his phone buzzes with voice memos he never recorded, and they always say the same thing. Josh, let me in. If this story chilled you to the bone, don't scroll just yet. Hit that like button, share this video with someone who loves creepy tales, and comment below. Have you ever heard your own voice when no one else was there? And remember, next time you hear a voice in the woods, especially one that sounds like you, never answer. Welcome to my channel. Today I will be reading from a Reddit user. So let's jump right into it. You ever hear a voice calling your name when no one's around? No. Seriously, when no one's around and you're sure you're all alone. Well, I recently moved into a new home and I was fixing things up. And I didn't have anywhere to stay for about a week while I sorted everything out. So I decided to rent a cabin out in the woods. It was secluded, but looked pretty peaceful. There were some nice views, and it was only about a 30-minute drive from where I actually live. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to get some video footage of the surrounding area. I packed up my stuff and headed out. Upon arriving, I quickly got to work unpacking and setting up my camera gear. After about an hour or so, I had everything set up and ready to go. The rest of the afternoon was spent taking video footage of the forest and the cabin. Being that there are no neighbors and the forest being so dense, it took me a while to get any decent shots. Finally, the sky started getting dark and I headed back inside. After dinner, I started looking through the photos I took earlier. Then I started editing together a few clips to put on my social media page. It was late and I was exhausted, so I figured I'd stay up and finish this up before bed. About an hour later, I was still working when I heard my name being called. At first, I thought it was my dog, so I stopped working for a second to listen. That's when I heard it again. Josh, come here. I couldn't quite make out who was saying it, but it definitely sounded like they were just outside the cabin. Come here. I stopped what I was doing and listened intently. It was silent. I shrugged it off as just my imagination and went back to editing. About 10 minutes later, I heard it again. This time it sounded closer. Josh, come here. As the voice echoed throughout the cabin, I got up and walked over to the door. I slowly opened it and stepped onto the porch. The forest was still and eerily quiet. I scanned the area with my flashlight beam, and that's when I saw it. A huge oak tree in front of the cabin. Its gnarled branches reaching out like grasping claws. Suddenly the voice boomed again. Closer this time. Josh, come here. I slammed the door shut and bolted. It sounded like footsteps near the door. Whoever or whatever was out there was trying to get in. Heart pounding, I raced to the other side of the cabin and hid in the bathroom. The sound of heavy footsteps near the door made me cringe. Then the bathroom door began to creak open. I peeked out and saw a dark figure standing in the doorway, its face obscured by the shadows. Fear paralyzed me as it took a step closer. Then the figure spoke in a raspy voice. Josh, why did you leave? I couldn't respond, couldn't bring myself to speak. The figure took another step closer, its eyes glowing red in the darkness. I stumbled back in horror as it reached out towards me. Suddenly, the bathroom mirror caught my eye. I turned to face it and gasped. My own reflection stared back at me, but it wasn't me. The reflection was smiling on its own. A cold, sinister grin spread across its face. The figure stepped out of the bathroom and disappeared. I turned back to the mirror. My reflection was gone. In its place was a whisper. You already spoke. Remember, I screamed as the figure lunged towards me. I ran outside and stumbled into the forest. I don't know where I was going. All I knew was that I had to get away from that cabin. As I ran, I felt something hard in my pocket. I pulled it out and realized it was the bag of ashes I had gotten from the old man. Without thinking, I started throwing handfuls of ashes at the trees. Suddenly, glowing eyes flashed from the bushes. I screamed and ran faster. Then I heard it. A blood-curdling scream that echoed through the woods. But it wasn't mine. I stumbled and fell, scraping my knee on the rough bark of a tree. Blood welled up, but I didn't care. I had to escape. I struggled to my feet and ran deeper into the forest, the sound of screams following me like a nightmare. Finally, I came to a clearing. Panting, I collapsed onto the ground, my body shaking with terror. The screams suddenly stopped. I sat there for what felt like hours, hugging my knees to my chest. The only light came from the moon filtering through the tall trees. I pulled my phone out of my pocket and turned on the flashlight. That's when I saw it. A new voice memo. My finger trembled as I pressed play. The voice, Josh, let me in. So if this story chilled you to the bone, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also comment if you have ever heard your own voice when you were alone. And as always, thanks for watching.